we showed incontrovertible evidence that Bola Tinubu was not qualified to contest the presidential election because he forged the qualifying academic certificate which he submitted to INEC.
Atiku Abubakar, in his response to the Supreme Court decision to uphold the heist that happened on February 25th, held a press conference where he accused the justices of colluding with mandate bandits, as he put it. Atiku's speech was filled with common sense that even a bystander, someone who didn't contest in the election, a neutral person, will hold the same position. He wondered why INEC would be allowed to say something else before the election and do an entirely different thing during and after the election. And he wondered why justices will go too far by holding stronger positions on behalf of the respondents. Yes, this wasn't the only place it happened. At the appeal court, the justices, when delivering their judgment, made stronger positions. Thus, they defended the respondents in their judgment. It's very strange. It's never heard of. He wondered why the Supreme Court justices chose to legitimize illegality, certificate forgery, identity theft, and perjury. That if the Supreme Court justices, after seeing all this, but they still chose to reward crime, that it is Nigeria that ultimately lost, not him, Atiku Abubakar.
It is about the reputation of Nigeria and Nigerians in the eyes of the world.
Yes, we made this analysis in the other video we made on the day of the judgment. It is Nigeria that they are destroying. The standard they are setting will affect Nigeria in the future. Yes, it has grave implications. People wouldn't need to spend time in the future getting educated because they know it will be worthless. They can forge a certificate and do anything. They know that they will win in court. Going forward in elections, people wouldn't need to spend money campaigning. It's a total waste of money. They just need to spend money on bribing INEC officials and keep money to buy judges. Yes. If you buy INEC officials, they will declare you winner. The rest of the budget, you spend it on the courts and you become the winner of the election. That's the precedent that the justices set in this election cycle. And that buying of INEC officials includes appointing APC members as resident electoral commissioners. Just like they appointed this guy, Umoren, he served as an aide to the Senate President Akpabio. He is a known APC member in Akwa Ibom State. How can they appoint him as the resident electoral commissioner in Akwa Ibom State? Atiku also wondered why the Supreme Court justices failed to admit his evidence, which proved that Tinubu submitted forged qualifying documents. Not only that the documents he submitted in 1999 to INEC were different from the ones he submitted in 2022. That INEC should have disqualified him based on that because it shows discrepancy. But INEC failed to do the job. They even failed to investigate all the certificates that candidates submitted. He went on an investigation and discovery and got the evidence, and the Supreme Court failed to admit the evidence based on technicality. He made proposals that Nigeria's Constitution and Electoral Act should be amended to force judges to determine election matters based on merit, not technicality, that it should be illegal to determine election matters based on technicality, that the ultimate aim of the judges going forward should be to discover who got the most number of votes, who the people voted for. Because when you go through all the election disputes, none of the judges are mentioning free and fair election. They are not even giving any judgment based on the decision of voters in the field on the day the election was held. They are just carrying on and just upholding candidates, no matter what they did, no matter the violence. So it makes sense to force them. That's if they are going to do it, because the crop of leaders we have now enjoy lawlessness. During Buhari's administration, he tried to leave a legacy of free and fair elections. That was why they amended the Electoral Act 2010. But during the amendment, we saw how many people fought it because they knew that if elections became transparent in Nigeria, that they will never win an election, especially APC guys, because they knew how bad Buhari handled the economy. At the end of the day, they passed the amendments. Look at what the justices have done to the electoral law and Nigeria's constitution. This is despite the fact that INEC accepts that there are certain sections of the Electoral Act and the Nigerian Constitution that empowers them to upload results to IREV in real time. Yes, it is there in their manuals and guidelines. But the courts held otherwise. Imagine a respondent coming to court, making a statement that agrees with what the petitioner said, but the court held a different decision, different from what the respondent said. Another proposal that Atiku made is the amendment of the law that should prevent someone from being sworn in until the election disputes are terminated and finalized. Yes, he made an analogy. It is akin to asking someone who stole something to use part of his loot to fight for the case in court. When someone steals something and the police arrest him, the state takes the person to court. Why will the state allow the person to use part of his loot to start defending himself in court? It doesn't make any sense. This is exactly what happens in Nigeria. People steal elections, buy INEC officials, buy the courts, and they do all this with state money because they've been sworn in. The time between election and swearing in is too short to accommodate election litigation. And surprisingly, it wasn't the case in 1979. Atiku also proposed that going forward, Nigeria must adopt electronic voting, that other small African countries do it. We are in the 21st century, we're in 2023. Why can't we adopt electronic voting, electronic transmission of results, everything handled by technology? This is available everywhere. Forget about people giving excuses that it is prone to hacking, all this, blah, blah, blah. The United States, many countries, Turkey, just to name a few, all conduct elections based on electronic voting. On the day of election, a few hours after the close of voting, you will see the results because all the results are being transferred electronically from all polling units across the country. You will know the winner immediately. There's no room for rigging because all the polling officers will punch the results figure by figure. But we all know they will not do all this because they know that if elections become transparent, all these criminals, all these corrupt politicians will never win a free and fair election in Nigeria. That's a fact. Another common sense that Atiku expressed in his speech is that the burden of proving that a document that a candidate submitted to INEC is forged should not be on the opposing candidate in any election. That it should not be their responsibility. That it should not be the responsibility of an applicant for a job to prove that the person that eventually got that job forged a certificate. Yes, this is pure common sense. If many people apply for a job and the company eventually gives the job to one person who forged certificates, is it the responsibility of one of the job seekers to prove to the company that someone else forged the certificate? It doesn't make sense. This is purely the responsibility of the company. In this case, INEC. INEC should be empowered and given enough time, even if it's 6 months before the election, for candidates to file in their particulars so that they can take time to verify them. In case of foreign universities, like in this case, even if they don't respond before the election, that person can still be disqualified whenever INEC receives their response, even if it's after the elections. That's the law, an amendment that Atiku is proposing. Another interesting proposal from Atiku Abubakar for amendment of the laws going forward, that's if they are going to do it, is that a presidential candidate must win 51% of the votes or just above 50% in order to be declared winner. Yes, this is how it's done in many countries. Even in Liberia of recent, no one scored above 50%. That's why they called a runoff election. It is common sense. Someone who wins a presidential election should command majority of the votes. Majority of the people, that's above 50%, must vote for the person in order to be declared winner, not having more than 90 million registered voters. And in the end, about 25 million votes were counted, and not even up to half of that 25 million voted for the purported winner of the election. Everyone knows that if we truly want to build a nation, these are the right steps to take going forward. But will they do it? Absolutely no, they will never. Because the crop of leaders we have today were the people that opposed the amendments to the Electoral Act when the National Assembly were doing it, because they knew that if it was amended the way the executive wanted it, they wouldn't have scored up to 2 million lawful votes in the presidential election.
44, 45.
Further amendments to the electoral law that must be made. We've said this in many videos. INEC must lose the power of declaration of results. They should stop declaring someone a winner. This is the bane of the corruption in the first place. If a candidate in an election knows that INEC cannot declare him winner, that the results will be uploaded to an electronic collation system, he will never spend any money bribing anyone or trying to buy any official, because no official will help him. Every party member or their representative will be at the polling unit fighting and making sure that what was voted, the will of the people, is what is eventually written into the results. After entering the results, they will upload it to the electronic collation system, which will automatically tabulate the results. All the TV stations will be connected to this collation system. They will be showing the results live on television. There's no way to rig the election. Anywhere there is rigging or hijacking of election materials, it will be cancelled and redone. This will make the best of us to come out for elective positions because they know the system will be fair to them. They will just need to campaign hard and market themselves to the electorate. And at the election, they will reap the rewards because the electorate must have seen that they are more intelligent than the others, that they will do better than others. This is simple to do, and once you don't solve election problems, you can never have good development, because people who rig elections can never give something they don't have. If anyone believes he can buy himself into power, he's not going there to do anything that will favor the people. He's going there to enrich himself and his associates. That's how it works. You can't come through the back door or through the window and say you're cleaning house. It doesn't work that way. Thanks for watching.